At seemingly every turn, the Nets find themselves in the headlines for the wrong reasons. Just 2 weeks into the season, the franchise elected to part ways with Steve Nash, who had openly admitted he lost the pulse of the team. Kyrie Irving is facing an ongoing suspension handed out by Joe Tsai after posting a film with anti-Semitic tropes on his social media pages. The Nets sit at just 4-7, and management has to be wondering if all of this is even worth it. Despite his offseason trade demand, KD has been a professional and held up his end of the bargain. But even with KD's individual excellence, it's abundantly clear he can't do this alone. Which brings us to Ben Simmons. The former number 1 overall pick sat all of last season due to a holdout and a back injury. Ben did get his wish though and was traded to Brooklyn back in February. Brooklyn was the change of scenery and fresh start that he needed, but even with talent that complements him better, Ben has looked like a shell of himself with a lot of his past demons still haunting him. So far this season, Brooklyn has been disastrous with Ben on the floor. He's posting career lows across the board, he's been even less aggressive than before, and he's already missed time with injuries. Back surgery is no joke, and Ben looks much stiffer and upright trying to get downhill now. On top of that, Ben's vertical explosion looks like it's been compromised too. Most of Ben's baskets have been assisted point-blank finishes. When he's not getting that, however, he's instead going to his right-handed floater or hook. Ben has mightily struggled on paint shots not in the restricted area, often leaving them short due to a lack of lift and touch. This tweet perfectly summarizes Ben's lack of aggression when getting downhill, which is something Brooklyn sorely needs. Of course, Ben's free throw struggles are well documented, and this season he's at a career low in both accuracy and attempts. The league is well aware of his lack of scoring aggression, and it often results in Ben wasting time when he brings the ball up. To compound the issue, when he does get off the ball, he often distorts spacing by being in no man's land. This just isn't how a primary ball handler plays in today's NBA. Here's another example of Kleba offering him a cushion, and you see off-ball defenders are unconcerned with help responsibilities, instead keying in on the primary scoring threats. Again, Ben is offered a ton of space, and notice how Giannis can camp in the lane while Ben has the ball. Defensive 3 seconds is suspended when you are defending the ball, so Giannis is free to camp here. This needs to be a dunk for Ben Simmons. Ben has no scoring gravity whatsoever. Look at the help defenders all with their back to him or an arm's length away from their matchup. They are daring Ben to score against single coverage. When Ben opts to just look for guys instead of attacking the available space, it simplifies the defense's job. Look how Memphis face guards KD and Kyrie. It's a shame because Ben's gifts as a passer are going to waste. Due to the lack of size up front on this roster, Ben often finds himself sharing the floor with centers. This clunky fit gives you less than ideal positioning and often gets in the way of dribble penetration, just much easier to defend. To start the year, Brooklyn had Ben share the court with Nick Claxton, and in the 97 minutes they have played together, the results have been abysmal. Watch on this drive how easy it is to converge on KD and force this turnover. Both Ben and Nick prefer to occupy the dunker spot naturally, and this lack of space forces KD to make a pass in a tighter window. Moving on, a lot of people thought Ben Simmons could play the Draymond role in Brooklyn. Draymond has successfully played the connector role for years in Golden State, and him and Ben do share some similar traits. What most people overlooked is that screen setting, DHOs, and split-second decision-making require a level of guile and technique. Ben's poor technique has him near the top of the leaderboard in offensive fouls. Unlike the others up there, his aren't from aggressively attacking the rim, they're coming from illegal screens. Now, if there was one area Ben was expected to be an instant contributor, it was on the defensive end. Ben was an all-defensive first-team selection each of his last 2 years in Philly, and even was named runner-up in the Defensive Player of the Year voting in 2021. So far this season, Brooklyn has been a porous defensive team. They don't defend the three-point line well, they give up more offensive rebounds than anyone, and they foul a ton. This inability to rebound and protect the rim is why Ben is often playing next to a center, which creates a negative feedback loop on both ends. Just about every star has had their way with Brooklyn this season too. Ben's defensive role has shifted from hounding perimeter players and navigating screens to having to battle players on the interior. Ben is still adjusting to life without Joel Embiid behind him. Even when on the perimeter, Ben hasn't looked the same defending in space. Luka has made it a point of emphasis to screen hunt him as the weak link in their matchups. It's not just Luka either. Even lesser perimeter players have been able to get by Simmons with relative ease compared to what we had seen in the past. With all that being said, Ben still has time to turn this around. He's only 26 years old, and the time off and injuries have clearly set him back. However, a lot of these issues become exponentially more damaging come playoff time. The number one pick expectations may be long gone, but at the very least, make yourself a contributor. This isn't the guy Brooklyn traded for, and if he doesn't get it right this time, there will be no one to point the finger at but himself.